let's have a look at the scores for this round of football so far.
Yeah, no, that's been a great one. All the way back to the worst game of the year. 20-point win to the Demons. And then Collingwood, 41 points in the wet over the Bombers on Anzac Day. Fremantle, 18-point winners over Adelaide. Brisbane, they did the job on St Kilda by 45. Port Adelaide fell over the line. Llordo's got some thoughts about that. And the Western Bulldogs, that's the biggest game of the round so far, the 32-point win to the Western Bulldogs.
And Collingwood sits atop the ladder on the back of 6 consecutive wins now. A beautiful percentage buffer over Brisbane Lions. Now, teams placed 3rd, 4th and 8th there. At this stage of round 7, all played today, so they will all be moving their positions. And as we switch over to the bottom 10, Port Adelaide now with a 3-win streak to get its season going. Melbourne also still down there in 15th, but 2 wins on the trot.
West Coast, any chance this afternoon?
Wouldn't have thought so.
No.
No, against Hawthorn, no.
Yeah, no chance. So. No. Hey, Llordo suggesting only moments ago that the Giants 1 foot out the door of the top 4 and the Bulldogs banging on it loudly. Tell us why.
Yeah, I love what they did and I love what they are doing. They've changed a few things around. Riley West only had about 5 or 6 touches but was very influential. And what I loved about this, these are all footy actions. So Aaron Norton protected the drop for Harms, kicked the goal. Then Tim English used the right disposal at half-back to get the ball moving. And they were just off stoppage running. Rory Lobb went forward. Everything that Luke Beveridge did last night worked. Doesn't always happen for a coach that way, but the players stood up.
It was amazing. And not only that, there was their midfield depth that I think we've all known that they've had for a long period of time, but we look at the names in there. You've got Bont, who's back in ripping form. Lib has been outstanding all year. Richards is amazing. Fraser is just an absolute star. Kennedy, Sanders goes forward. We spoke about West just before, being a mid-forward. You've got Harms and Davidson you can throw through the wing. These guys have so much flexibility, not only with their mids, but with the rest of their side as well.
Hey, Rory, they won the clearances by 22 and they scored 5 goals plus through clearance and stoppage as well. And we want to take a look at a few. So this is within 80 seconds of the game. There's Liberatore, Bontempelli and Kennedy. And this is the work rate they had and how they ran the Giants off their feet. So you see those players, those 3 I just touched on, Liberatore, Kennedy and Bontempelli, and their work rates overwhelmed the GWS Giants. So here's the first one, Kennedy involved. There's Liberatore, back out to Bontempelli. He's clean, over the top to Kennedy, who kicks a goal. So that's where they're really strong at the moment. They're good on the inside, good on the outside. Here's a centre clearance. So I love their structure. So they win the inside. 3 Giants gravitate to Bontempelli. Richards always owns the outside. So they don't know who to tag at the moment. Do we go to Richards? Do we go to Bontempelli because they're so strong? Then they panic because of the entries that were coming in nice and deep. Harms, Toby Green, not good enough. So they just sat off. Again, you got the outside, inside to the outside goal. And it just got stronger and stronger as the game went on. And this one is Riley West even went in there. So he goes in there as a midfielder. And I knew they were broken when you just saw a player that could just stream through. You watch him, he's still tracking him all the way through the centre of the ground. They wanted it more. They worked harder. Full credit to them and what they're doing. And you'll see this one just pop over the top to Riley West. So it was a midfield masterclass last night from the Western Bulldogs.
When you pose that question, who you would go to, answer it for them.
Well, last night I'd go to Richards first, but then within game you may have to hand over to Bontempelli. But I think Richards
at
is
the centre
as destructive as anyone going around. Yeah.
Guys, I want your take on this, all right? Because like Valerie the sausage dog down on Kangaroo Island, a few other dogs have gone missing, and they will be found, but some have obviously left the club. I know, Damo, it was the most tenuous segue you would ever want to come across. But some have gone, but some are coming back. That is a list of stars, isn't it, to have out of your team?
That is a very good list of players.
Yeah. It's a very good list, but it comes down to coaching. I think you've seen complete ownership from Luke Beveridge to go, there's no excuses here at all, no matter who we have missing and where they're missing from. We've got players that can fill a position, and he's playing to their players' strengths at the moment, which is what good coaches need to do.
And your man's coaching well, Damo.
Browny, I would argue that he's in the
career
form of his life.
Yeah.
And that's inclusive of 2 grand final seasons, one being a win in 16 and another one in 2021. And to Rory's point, the way he's shuffling not just the midfield, but it's the key position players. The man you can see on screen there, Rory Lobb, still being used at either end of the ground. Baku Karmas. You mentioned those absences. I mean, Jamari Ugle-Hagan not being available at all. Bontempelli missing the first 5 matches of the year. I think the courage, Brownie, in the selection or the non-selection of Liam Jones on the weekend, that in itself sends a statement through the entire club.
Make
and the way he
explained it to it.
So where's it at then? What's behind this? Because
it's
you
working.
think they'd want to sign him in a heartbeat because you know, outside of Luke Beveridge, you're signing up a youngish coach. I know there's a few out there who have just finished in Longmire and Adam Simpson, but we've seen in recent years it's been Adam Uze, McQualter. So why wouldn't the Bulldogs, would they be trying to put a 3-year deal in front of him?
I just think they're so intent, Lloydie, to let it play out. And I think there's a power in that. I mean, if you go back to 2023 when Port Adelaide left Ken Hinkley out of contract, and that worked, I think, quite powerfully as well. That was the year he was recontracted for this year.
But is this more what Beveridge wants, though?
It is.
But has he got ideas of doing something else?
Well, you only take him what he says publicly, and he says no. But he wants to obviously, I think, be convinced himself. But I don't think there's anyone who thinks the passion, the drive's not there. And to your point, the moment you remove someone who you know can coach, you're in the unknown then. Yeah. And the unknown right now with his future is working powerfully.
So has he actually categorically said, no, I'm not interested in coaching anywhere else? Because he hasn't categorically said, yes, I want to coach the Bulldogs again.
Yeah, he did make public comment, TJ, about the Simon Goodwin links with Melbourne that Caroline Wilson went with a couple of weeks ago, and he completely shot that down.
Melbourne specifically?
Melbourne specifically, yeah. I mean, I have been saying that there's a connection there with Simon Garlick, the CEO of Fremantle, but while Justin Longmuir was winning matches, as he did in round 7, that's not real, and that's not an offer yet, but there's a connection there. Like, he's going to be in demand, that's clear, and on the back of the 7 matches he's played this year, 4 wins, 3 losses, he's right at the peak of his powers.
And of course, Tassie will come into the equation too when we talk about coaches, won't it?
And that may be the backdrop to the whole thing. Yeah.
Damo, there were more problems.
Yeah, there were, and I want to get Browny's opinion on this because I think he's got a view on this which may shape how the match review office looks at this Tom Green hit or contact with Joel Frazier. Browny.
Yeah, I blame Joel Frazier here. Now, you don't want anybody to get hurt, but that is an awful way to approach football. So you're already crouching down, you're already almost on your knees, and you're leaping forward at a football. So I know we've got the onus on the player and a duty of care, but I feel like Joel Frazier's got a duty of care to himself and the other player there who's coming in, Tom Green, and he's done the right thing. I feel like the problem started with Frazier, and I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Green goes for it. Nothing surprises me in this day and age, but I don't think he should go. But it was more really poor technique from Joel Frazier.
Did Green ever take his eye off the ball, though?
No, didn't take his eye off the ball.
Green
used his body, used his hip.
I'm with you. Green can't get cited for that. He's had perfect technique there. And Frazier, he'd be dirty at himself because you're taught as a young kid to keep your feet and protect the footy. And that's exactly what Tom Green tried to do.
OK, so overall, right, we're all up and about the Giants, a couple of weeks ago, and for good reason. Llordo half writing them off, but with a bit of a get-out clause. Where does everyone else see them?
I think they've been inconsistent since that unbelievable win in round 1 where they smashed Collingwood, but they haven't shown a lot, and I just think at times that they're lacking connection as a group. You've got all these star names, but they don't often work for each other like they should. And then in attack, Jake Stringer's not working for them, so they haven't quite got that forward mix right if Jesse Hogan doesn't fire.
And only managed 4 goals against the Crows last week. But you now, I think, add that game to what happened last night with their lack of potency up forward.
Well, I was going to say, more for me, it's around their contest. Their hardness, their toughness and their pressure is normally what makes them such a good footy team, and I want to see them get back to that level where you're like, there's that giant tsunami. They're in everyone's face. They're playing with that aggressive nature, and I haven't seen that for a couple of weeks.
Now, Damo, I don't think I'm giving anything away here, but it was your wife's birthday yesterday. You had a beautiful afternoon get-together.
And had an early dinner.
And you were there with your phone watching North Melbourne and Port Adelaide.
I was allowed to watch it. Yeah, I was. Yeah, and there was a bit going on, wasn't there?
Well, Jason Horne-Francis. I text you guys through this. I thought what we saw with Ken Hinkley, which we will see in a moment, was absolutely outstanding from a coaching point of view. But you guys take it away.
Yeah, I was well done by the leaders of Port Adelaide and also by Ken Hinkley and the way he handled it. But Jason, you don't want too many. Jason's a star and he's playing wonderful football, but he just lost all of his emotions in this game.
He got sucked in, didn't he?
Yeah, he got sucked in to a point where he didn't want to listen to his coach and he was dragged back by his players. Butters was sensational at this point on, trying to control him, saying, settle down, settle down.
And he's had issues in this space himself, hasn't he?
I was going to say, Butters knows exactly what this looks like.
And this is to a point where Jason has to grow up. So his coach is talking to him, trying to calm him down.
Says, don't worry about it,
and he walks off on the coach. That is still petulant behaviour, and you do not want too many players in your team like that, Rory, in my opinion.
It is, but you got to, as your senior players, you got to look after him, and that's exactly what Butters and Rosie have done. Look at Rosie. He's talking to him. He's like, "No, mate, I'm reinforcing the point that my coach is making," and Butters rips him back in and goes, "Mate, I've seen this before for myself, so you got to learn from this."
But it's nearly droppable behaviour if your coach is talking to you. and you are walking away from your coach not wanting to hear him out till he finishes.
Isn't that the volatility, though, in this player? I choose Llordo to celebrate that action rather than criticise it.
Celebrate what?
Celebrate the fact that he's playing for keeps.
That he's undisciplined?
He still played a good game of footy.
Yes, he
I'm
did.
keen to see what the votes are, but I reckon he's amongst the best players on the ground. And I understand all that, but this is what you get with Jason Horne-Francis. He does play to win, Llordy. And North Melbourne couldn't deal with him when he was there for one season of footy. I reckon North Melbourne could have benefited yesterday from having someone with that type of attitude to not take no. And I get what you're saying about the behaviour and the attitude and the message it sends by the players, but I think they know what they get with this player.
It's all fun and games until you lose a tight one because he does something stupid, OK? So I just think that play on the edge. There's wonderful players that play on the edge, like Marcus Bontempelli plays on the edge, but it's keeping things in control. When your coach speaks to you, don't turn your back. That's nearly, to me, unforgivable. When your coach talks to you...
And droppable, you say?
Well, yeah, to a point. If he did that, I'd grab him again tomorrow and say, what you did to me, right, I'm staying, because they had a game to win, so Ken handled himself beautifully. But get him back in and say, do not disrespect me or your senior players like that again, because, again, it'll come back to bite us. I spoke about McAndrew 2 weeks ago. Things come back to get you in this game, in my opinion.
It was a tight game.
Yeah.
If North Melbourne had have got up, do you think the outcome is different for Jason Horne-Francis?
It would be a huge story.
Yeah, but he still stood up in the last quarter after that moment.
Yeah, because he's a great player. I'm
Yeah.
just saying he's been around long enough to start to rein this.
He's only 21. He's only 20. Look, Dane Zorko went at Chris Fagan last week, a former captain of the Brisbane Lions, going at the great premiership coach. There was an exchange last week that was not to your liking either, but that's okay.
And you've got to realise at times, like, it's a heated game. Players and coaches are going to disagree on something. And I'm not sure what Ken said or what he was going at Horne about, but he's entitled to disagree with something the coach says. But there's a respect in the way you're saying.
You don't need to be a lip reader to work out Ken was saying, don't worry about it, right? Something, calm down. He wasn't having a go at him.
Jason's got to be able to move on quicker. That's the main point to be saying.
Yep. Paul Curtis will be as focus of a match review office decision on this tackle on Josh Sin, because it did cause a AJA for Josh, who was then taken out of the game. Look, I look at that and I don't see too much wrong with it, but we have seen similar moments in the past recently that have resulted in the tackler being sanctioned by the match review office. I'd like to think that can be put into the accidental category, but...
When you watch the vision, Paul Curtis drops his knees to try and bring him down. So normally I think the action where you actually pole him into the ground is where you get reported, but I think he tried to bring him down, and then that action then led to him going in. 165 kilo bencher too, Paul Curtis. You don't want that on top of you.
No.
Just on Port Adelaide, the big question for me is the emotion that they play with. So they got themselves up massively for the Hawthorn game, and it was a sensational win because of what went on. So they still just scraped over the line against the North Melbourne side at home. So I still worry about the emotion that they play with, how they can be up some weeks, down.
They've had a win against Sydney in between.
Yeah.
And it's been more about the way they've won for me. Yeah. Their pressure was well off the first part of the year. Their tackle numbers, their pressure inside forward 50, and that's back. Yeah. So I'm looking at more how they play. North needed to respond. I thought North were much better than what they had been, but the way in which Port are playing, I'm going, no, they're back well and truly.
Well, we're going to find out next Saturday. We should be licking our lips at this contest because it is the Bulldogs, who have just been wrapping up, and Port Adelaide. So I haven't looked at the other matches, but that's almost match of the round, that one.
It is, and I love Sam Palpepper. He's one of my favourite players in the game for what he brings, but is it in the top 10, which worst misses in AFL football? So I don't know if he was trying to poke it over just to find a mate in the crowd or something like that, because he just didn't. I don't know if he got a bit too cute or whether he was cooked with the way he plays the game, but it leads us to the worst misses we've seen in AFL football. Just to break up this segment, TJ.
All right, OK, well, Malcolm Blight, it wasn't so much a miss, it was a complete judgment there in the goal square, and he put it through the point post.
What about poor old Simon Oshold in the famous 1987 prelim final, having this happen to him in the last quarter of that famous game?
What about Josh Bruce here? He went mad. Ran into an open goal. I'm not sure how you missed that, Brucey. Have a look at that.
Boom. And we got my mate Richie Douglas, ran in almost to an open goal. Just had to wrap around the post and hit that too.
Come on, Richie.
Similar miss to that, as Jonathan Brown called him the pink pig one night. Jonathan Brown, top of the goal square, and misses from the...
Look at that. That's a great miss.
Dave enjoyed it over the back. That might be the worst, TJ.
Dave, we've known each other for 40 years. Can you at least give me some sort of support? Anyway, let's move on. Lachie Neale. What can you say about Lachie Neale?
He's exceptional. He no longer needs to shoulder that load to the midfield, and we saw him up forward a bit more on the weekend, which was unbelievable. He had 30 touches, kicked 3 goals, but he's huge, and I think it comes off the back. He's going to have more flexibility now, having some of these younger guys, both the Ashcrofts, rotate through the midfield, Llordo.
Absolutely, and the question was asked, Browny.
I was shocked that they did not tag him with Marcus Windhager yesterday. So everybody knows that Lachie Neale is the #1 player there, and if you stop his influence, you can stop Brisbane. It's not saying you do stop Brisbane, but you can stop. And Ross knows that. Ross deploys the tag more than any player, and he knows that Lachie Neale is the key. And I was shocked that, yes, he played a little bit more forward, but Marcus Windhager went to McCluggage first, played a little bite on Rayner, and it shocked me that he did not start on Lachie Neale and put him away. 30 disposals, 3 goals, should have been stopped.
He was worked up during the game, Ross Lyon, yesterday, and he also made the unusual move for a coach before half-time to sub one of his players out. Hugo Garcia was the person yesterday. You can see the time on the clock. The decision was made a few moments before that, roughly halfway through the second quarter. He did it last week with Liam Henry at half-time. So he's prepared to make the old-fashioned call in that space on form reasons as opposed to injury.
So word around is that, say, like Dustin Martin used to play, where Dustin didn't have to defend the ground. So even if the ball comes spitting out of the Tigers' forward line, he didn't have to move. Lachie Neale plays a role where he doesn't have to defend too much, and he was hovering in the forward line, not chasing out, and they expected Garcia to have stayed with him at times, and he didn't have the game nous to do it. One too many times happened, and Ross Lyon said...
Well, he spoke at the press conference about swivelling your head, and that's what... You can have one, maybe. You can't have 2, 3 mids doing that, or any other players doing that. You've got to swivel your head, Browny, we mentioned earlier, to make sure you're checking in behind that there's no loose players.
Yeah. And Ross Lyon did explain, in typical Ross style, the reasons for the Hugo Garcia subbing.
Was it the contest stuff that made you pull the trigger on your sub so early in that second?
No, well, Hugo was a part, I don't know, how much do you guys know, about stay ahead mids and swivelling and turning? Sometimes I just get to roll the ice stage, right? Sometimes you've got to stop talking about it, and sometimes you just go bang. I live in the world of action, right? So you'd sit there and go, why don't they pull the sub? I pulled the sub, tried to get something done.
You've got to love his media conferences.
They are good.
I tell you what, you want to come prepared, though.
Yeah,
you want to come prepared, because he does have a propensity to come back at you.
And I don't have any issues with when any coach pulls the sub. So I think we wait too long in this game sometimes. And he wasn't happy. And even if you get an injury later on, I think bad luck. You just got to do what you got to do.
Anthony Caminiti from St Kilda will join us in the handball a little later on. Rory is joining us at the Plasma. Freo and your old team, the Crows, what was your take out of this?
Yeah, we spoke a week's a long time in footy. You're never that good, TJ, and you're never that bad. Freo last week, a little poor, but they're outstanding this week, and it was their use of handballs through the Crows, midfield in particular, that got them some great looks. The Crows' backs rely on pressure from their mids to make sure the ball doesn't get to the last line, which this one does here. Freo are outstanding at attacking the last line, and this one's from stoppage. Freo had numbers around the ball here. Their use of hands is clean. If we pause here, Crows mids caught a little bit on the back foot. Freo mids going to use their outnumber chain of handballs to get the shoulders out look, and guess what? They want to attack the last line. Crows need to ramp up that pressure around the midfield group if they want to stop these type of goals. And this one from a contest situation too. The ball's live. A missed tackle, which was costly on the day. Again, hands back through the corridor. Let's get some run and carry and take the Crows on through the middle of the ground. We'll attack the last line and look to score again. So the Crows need to sharpen up around the midfield, get the pressure back on. But Freo, they were good. Their use of handballs and run and carry to attack the last line, like most teams want to do, was outstanding on the weekend.
Just got to be able to do it away from Perth, don't they?
Absolutely, and that's the maturity, I think, of both sides we need to see at the moment. Both Crows and Freo need to win on the road.
What did you say at the start? You're never
that good.
Yeah.
You're never that bad in football.
Did he point at me when he said that?
I did. I said TJ.
You and I both picked up on that.
You said you didn't explain it at the start. I'm like, I just had to slow it down for you a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't the pace, it was more the point that got me.
Just with the Crows, TJ, they're obviously without Darcy Fogarty for this particular game, one of their 3 key forwards, and Rolly Thilthorpe, unfortunately for him, Llordo, and just take us through what this is going to mean, because A key position player dislocating fingers as he did in this moment here with Josh Tracy, and he clearly went off the ground as a result of that. It was causing him pain, and the club is at pains to say that it's a badly dislocated finger, but it can't be ideal.
No, we've all dislocated fingers and you can get on with it, but when it comes through the skin like it did for him, that's more of a challenge for him. So even some of his ball drops through the day was really difficult. He was hard to play on, so you just wonder whether he can get by and keep playing AFL footy. I'm not too sure.
Anzac Day at the G, it's always a special one, isn't it, from a football point of view at the MCG? And of course, the true meaning of the day is never forgotten. But you're just a regular little Nostradamus, aren't you?
Why's that?
Well, you know,
Go on, pump yourself up.
I did. Tuesday night I said still side bottom for a few reasons, which I'll touch on shortly.
Still side bottom for
Anzac Day medal, yep. I said I thought Nick Dacos would get well held, and we talk about quiet games. That was not a quiet game for Nick, but I thought he'd get some attention, and I thought this man, like he has been doing, will get off the chain. His ability inside this game was unbelievable. He had 15, I think a career high, 15 clearances. He's just so composed and clean in the wet as well, which Collingwood's senior team are just, the fundamentals are unbelievable.
Just on the fundamentals, well, Craig McRae spoke about that and what he wanted from his veterans over this off-season.
We reviewed heavily a lot of our systems and our season last year, and one of the things that stood out was that our guys 30 plus didn't do enough fundamentals. And we're adamant, fundamentals are a hallmark and foundation of our game, and we do so much work on it. And the guys that started back a bit late didn't get the minutes. So we deliberately planned around our 30 pluses doing a lot more fundamentals and still showing benefit of that.
So Collingwood, when they won the premiership, their pressure rating was off the chart. So they were really good. This last year, it was non-existent. So they went and got a lot of players from other clubs, and the pressure is outstanding. So I want to point out how the pressure they put on, but then they've got, we talk about the orange tsunami. I think there's a new tsunami. I think it's a black and white tsunami. So the pressure they put on, but then their run and hands when they get the football. So they got Houston, they've got Perryman, they've got these players. Move Josh Dacos to half back to allow more run and surge, and they just want to keep the ball moving forward. Long in the middle, a big body just keeps moving it forward. There's Perryman getting it from Houston. This wasn't Collingwood last year. They didn't have these players to surge the football. On the outer side again. Okay, we're under pressure. Let's just surge it on. Get it forward. This wasn't Collingwood last year. They just want to move the ball and put pressure on the opposition. Jamie Elliott gets it out. This one doesn't result in a goal, but this is the way they set up. Again, they get the footy, hands. They get in trouble in this one, but again, their pressure is outstanding. So Quainer gets up, lays the tackle, and then again, they've got players on the outside that want to surge the footy. They take ground and then they get the mark inside forward 50, and then this is the last one. Have a look at this. Nick Dacos gets it, but look at the run off half back. Look at these three players to one. It's Perryman again and Houston off half back. Surge mentality football. They don't kick a goal out of this one again, but it's clear what Collingwood are doing. Put pressure on the opposition and then they surge really hard out of the back end. This is the last one. This is surge footy again. Put pressure on, get the ball forward. Not sure what's there, but Bobby Hill with some wheels. That was his first touch. His second touch gets over the top and takes a mark. So Collingwood have added a big string to their bow.
Well, 3 votes, Nath. Hey, what impressed you at the G on Thursday night, Llordo, with Melbourne?
It was their movement again, so full credit to Simon Goodwin. I know it's only 2 weeks, TJ, but the movement of Melbourne and the way they're going at it is sensational. So look at that, uncontested marks has gone from 9th to 1st. Marks from play on, 15th to 1st. So this is what the players would have wanted. They would have said to Simon Goodwin, can we have the handbrake go off us so we can play the game a little bit more? Nate just showed clips of Collingwood. It's so instinctive, their football. Melbourne haven't played an instinctive game for a long time. They've done it the last few weeks and the players seem to be thriving.
All right, terrific stuff. So much to talk about. Damo's going to bring us up to date with a big Collingwood injury too a little later on in the program. But it is that time of the week that we all sit here, White Knuckle Club. It is time for What Caught My Eye. Look, I'll get it going. Nathan, you do love your gadgets, don't you? I saw you there this morning with your iPad and you write down, you were showing me how all that works, which I'm very impressed with. You. Last week it was all about your pizza maker.
Yes.
Right? And you love your pizza, but look, there you are with your family. Nathan, we're not here to line your pockets. So there you are with the pizza maker. Yep. Very, very particular about the dough there. And you've got your game face on there too, I see. So that's, look, you've got the whole set up there. Terrific stuff. Yeah, gather around, family.
Yep.
You've inspired people already.
What have I inspired?
Well, you've inspired Damo because on the podcast with Hutchie, this was your big contribution. Damo's dish, char-grilled vegetable and goat's cheese pizza for an entree, Damo.
This is what I do, TJ.
Yeah, I know. Well, when I said work with me on this, I
But don't come to me to work on myself. Go to me.
hang on. Of all the things that we've said about you over the years, you know, like I'm not allowed to sort of, not allowed to do any of that. But as soon as we go you about your gourmet skills,
You're delivering
dirty
it.
up.
You're delivering it. Where's the funny?
I know, but I'm looking at you and you've got steam coming out of your ears.
All right, so I'm coming in at 1 or 2 for none at the moment. I've come off to a rough start. But anyway, as I said, I'm observant with Nathan, and he's got a son called Jude, and whatever reason he wears his Jude's polo tops. So, I don't know, we observe it, and then he delivered this little man child. I don't know what's going on with Nathan. No, look at that skinny little weedy Singapore noodles type of setup there from Nathan.
Singapore noodles.
You do those, Damo?
And I reckon we've got to him because he's gone the oversizer this week. So I reckon we've got to him. So he's gone the big baggy double XL top setup.
Mini dress.
So I reckon we've got to him.
How are we going? What's the score now?
I'm back. I'm back. Come off the square.
Go through to lunch, 1 for 60.
All right. So, Llordo, I noticed that you've been posting a little bit more on social media, and I saw this clip, and I enjoyed it, I must say. So here's you. I'm not sure who you're down there with, but this was reposted on the AFL website. That's you defending, which you've never done in your life, and you also got the fisting.
Oh, nice.
And all over the top of him. So there you are, Llordo. You posted this on social media. I want to put to you, Llordo, that somebody has got to you and said, we need you to post more stuff from a human point of view because all you do is post stuff that you get for free on social media.
So that is incorrect.
Is that not incorrect?
I'm not saying, I'm not going with that. There could be a bit of truth.
But the other thing that worried me was you couldn't get your great mate Dustin Fletcher on a couple of weeks ago. Couldn't even pick up the phone after 2 weeks. On the back of that, he was happy to have a conversation here with you, though. The Velvet got in first. So how can he have a comment on the back of that, but when you ring him to come into the Sunday Footy Show, nothing? Cricket's Fletcher.
Great point, and I had one of your great teammates on today on my deep dive who did get back to me, so I hope you're watching there, Fletch.
Should have just texted him on there instead.
Okay, before this segment's over, one of us is going to have a punchline, OK?
No, well, speaking of getting things for free, I mean, we all love in this industry earning a little side hustle, Nathan. And we see here, like, everyone's got this. This is a great little side hustle we can do. A live show night. Llordo fills his pockets every week with a sporty. Absolutely love it. But there's just some things in life you just have to. And when I mean you have to, there's some things in life you just have to say no to. All right? Can we get this one up? This one, Browny, muscle recall. Look at the shot on the left versus the shot on the right. If we can, I don't know if we can zoom in. Which is the before and after.
What's happening to you?
The difference, if you can see down on the screen, is 600 grams. A before and after shot of 600 grams.
You have just had a crack at me, and you are serving that rubbish up.
That was about 8 years ago.
That's good.
That's about 8 years
Oh yeah, they made you push your belly out, and then they got another photo with different light, and then you got to suck your belly in there.
Can we do another one of those 2 weeks after this pizza?
Hey, TJ, the Easter Sunday show brings out the worst in this panel. The pilfering of Easter eggs is actually reprehensible as to what goes on. Let's take a look through history. Back in 2021, Browny, no shame, Nath, we caught him after this effort this day. Plastic bag he brought. Look at you, TJ. You're having a good old crack at it there yourself.
I was donating.
Now, again, Llordo thought the lights went down on the same year. I'll sneak back out. No one will see me in the darkness. After dark, Llordo goes to work on the Easter eggs in 2021. After dark, Llordo, some of his finest. We go to 2022. Brownie's brought in the plastic bag again, and he's got the eggs going again. These are meant for the staff and the floor managers, TJ. This is 2022, so nothing happened in 2023 and 2024. But last week, it was disgraceful. And it was a new low for this show. Our leader, TJ, got involved again. I'm going to highlight, this is a charity beanie, TJ. A Dare to Hope charity beanie that you have used as a receptacle for this theft.
That is as low as it gets.
And you've kept the beanie.
Oh, no. And you kept the beanie and the Easter eggs.
You are a disgrace.
OK, hang on.
And that's a good funny to finish with, Damo, because everybody else knows.
We call that a crescendo.
I got no defence. Right, we are taking a break here on the Sunday Footy Show. Back with more in a moment. Welcome back. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. It is one of modern football's great rivalries. That, of course, the showdown between the Western Bulldogs and the Giants. We always look forward to these, but it was the Doggies who got the job done in the nation's capital.
It is a good rivalry, and we see that Riley West, he was good, didn't have a lot of the ball, but kicked 3 goals. Rory Lobb pushed forward, normally playing in defence. Liberatore is great as always. Richards, Fraser, Bontempelli was good, but what about this man, James Harmes? 22 disposals. He kicked 4 goals. I've got him as my best on, and he joins us on the Sunday Footy Show. Harmsy, congratulations on a big victory last night.
Thanks, Browny. Yeah, really good win. The boys all played a really good role and, wrapped to come away with the win.
It almost looked like an almost season at the start. You've been in front in games, particularly the Collingwood and the Brisbane one, and other clubs got over the line. But last night, the third quarter, you set it up through clearance, contested football, and you went from there.
Yeah, we've probably dropped a couple of games that we would have liked to win. Come out in the second half yesterday and, really got the ball in our forward half. As you said, 1 contested ball and clearance and able to lock it in there and score pretty well.
What do you think now, Harmsy? Is what you think you can achieve this year changed with what you're doing? Because there's not really many teams that are blowing you away or anything like that, considering all the injuries you're also dealing with.
Oh, yeah, I feel like we're in a really good spot. As you said, we had a fair few injuries at the start of the year, but, to be able to get the win last night, I feel like our season's really going well and, anything's possible, really. So, go to Ballarat next week, play Port Adelaide and, just take it week by week, as most people say.
Harmsy, we've spoken a lot here about the depth that your midfield have, but not only that, the depth your whole side has and players' ability to play some different roles.
Yeah, definitely. Last night we were able to swing big Rory Lobb forward and he had an impact there for us. And, we had Buku playing forward as well, so he's been down back most of the year. It's what we love about our team. We can swing players in different positions and they're still able to have an impact. And, it goes a long way for us winning the game.
Have you discussed that as a team with the coach? Is that something that is going to be fluid throughout the year, that Jed Buslinger went back and you've obviously got Rory Lobb who went forward, or will they settle at some point, or is it horses for courses each week?
With Bevo, you're not too sure what's going to happen. He does like to throw the magnets around a little bit, but you've got to be ready to play this role and do whatever the team needs. So for Lobby to go forward and play that role, it was really good for us, and I think it was a long way for us to win the game.
Your own game, James, just the 4 goals you kicked and the fact that you almost single-handedly took the game away from the Giants early, and we'll just take a look at what you did yourself in this game. Was it your best game for the Bulldogs?
Yeah, I think so. I had a couple of big games last year, but against a quality side like Giants, I was able to have a good impact, and it was good to hit the scoreboard and kick the ball.
And mate, so with Sam Darcy out of the side as well, there's a whole range of goal kickers. You had yourself, we mentioned Riley West before, but there's been a few step up and kick some snags.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously really disappointing that Big Darcy went down last week, but to have a spread of goal kickers, it's really what the team needed. And I feel like we're able to go through different plays each week, and as you see there, a few of the mids kicked a few goals. Big Lobby kicked 1 or 2, and Westy 3. So we're able to share the load.
I want to ask you about your coach, Luke Beveridge. He seems to keep everyone guessing, including the media, you players. Out of contract, we just find it fascinating, as well as his coaching, that he hasn't been re-signed or hasn't wanted to re-sign yet at the Western Bulldogs. How do you find him in regards to themes? Is he still very much a theme-based coach pre-game? You never know what you're going to get from him?
Yeah, I love Bevo. The week that when I got traded, one of the big reasons for coming over was because of Bevo, and I love what he brings to the club, and I really do hope he can stick around for next year, or next couple of years. He always has a theme for the game. Last night it was relating to the Anzacs and what they did for us. So,
James, obviously there's club confidentialities at play here, but what are you able to tell us this morning about what you're observing with the Jamara Ugle-Hagan situation?
Look, to be honest with you, at the moment, footy's probably the last thing on Jamara's mind. We're just we want to see him, happy and healthy, and we'll continue to wrap our arms around him and give him support. But yeah, at the moment, he's just working through a few things, and we're all here to support him.
Speaking of happy and healthy, it's nice to have Bont back playing some ripping footy, mate. His form's been incredible. He obviously did something right in that 6 weeks off.
Hey, he's unbelievable, isn't he? He's the ultimate professional. I spoke to someone last week about it. It's probably what he does off the field that makes him such a good player. Behind closed doors, he works so hard. He's always working on his game, working on his body, doing the little things, which translates to game day. So, he's an amazing player, an amazing leader, and we love having him back out.
How did you get squeezed out of that Melbourne group, Harmsy? Because you've been a wonderful pickup now. I know you've had to work at the Western Bulldogs as well. I know it's a while back now, but what happened with that change and why the move?
Yeah, to be honest with you, Llordo, it was probably more off my own bat. I wasn't really enjoying football back then. It became a bit of a grind for me, and to be honest with you, I feel like I've just found the joy for the game again, and I really love the process. Week to week, getting in, getting to work, and just letting my footy do the talking. Really, I have, as I said, I have loved and found the game. I have loved the game again and found the joy, which I probably lost a little bit there for a while.
And can I ask you about, I mentioned in the introduction about the rivalry between these two clubs. Is that just something we talk up, or is that something that's felt within the four walls at the kennel there? Because there have been some magnificent grudge matches over the journey, and the Giants can be a little lippy on social media.
Yeah, there's definitely a few words spoken before the game, definitely from Bevo. It's good to have a bit of a rivalry in the competition. I feel like, our rivalry with the Giants has been going on for a few years now, and it's good to be a part of a game that does have that rivalry.
Let's look at the votes from last night, Harmsy, and I gave you the best man on the ground. It was a Gary Ablett senior-like performance, early days out of the wing. I got a 9, Bontempelli 8. I love Kennedy. I love what he's doing. Kicked a couple of goals as well. And Tim English in the ruck. And you don't go home empty-handed, because this is the best prize pack in the business. A family pass to Gumbaya World, where water slides, thrill rides and wildlife collide. Just don't let the kids near the quackers. A Hit Fit membership, combined body weight and boxing for a full-body workout. You'll be best dressed on the golf course, thanks to Clutch & Co. And we'll kit you out in Catstar, Brad Close's clothing brand. Be Close, your swing, your style. A box of Chrome Tour golf balls and a cap, thanks to Callaway, our good friends. And another 2 hats, courtesy of Travis Matthew there. Bar Fridges Australia are back for all your beer and wine cooling needs. Bar Fridges Australia is your one-stop shop. A pair of Aquilas, so when you go out to Bar Bambi, where I've seen you, premium quality footwear since 1958. Treat yourself to a batch of Daniel's Donuts. Not for you, Tony. Book a delivery online today. And TJ, he loves a free meal, doesn't pay for anything. Platform 28, the best pub at the Docklands. Rick's Eyewear that inspires confidence, and elevate your wardrobe with the latest streetwear style from St Goliath, Harmsy.
You know it's coming back twofold, don't you?
What?
When you least expect it, Glad Wrap, expect it. Okay. All right, hey, Harmsy, great to catch up with you. It's been a thrill to have him on. I don't know whether you've seen my desk upstairs, but I do have a poster of him.
Who's got better teeth? You or
he's my
James?
Role model. He's my hero. Look at that. I mean, there's him.
Chompers Jr.
There's him.
It's Willie.
Thank you, Chompers.
Thank you, Chompers. You're, mate, as I say, I just aspire to be like you one day. So, anyway, I know you've got a plane to catch, so well done for last night. Good luck in Ballarat. Have you seen the stadium up there since they've revamped it?
No.
In Ballarat? Anyone here sort of leave the CBD? It's magnificent what they've done in Ballarat. So you'll get to see that firsthand next week, Harmsy. All right, good on you, mate. Thanks again. We'll take a break. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. The Lions mauled the Saints. We'll tell you how and why right after this. Welcome back. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. What's wrong?
Some unbelievable vision over the ad break. Exclusive vision again. I'm all over Nathan this morning. Here it is. Just absolutely mauled. And he has an amazing ability just not to just keep it all in the mouth and just have it just come piling out is the word. But here it is.
How many did you scoff in that ad break?
It's meant to be a safe space, the ad break.
You know, there's no
and
safe space here.
You can't record things when you're not expecting it, Llordo.
Nothing's off limits between us, as we found out in what caught my eye.
Yeah, with the Easter eggs.
Yeah. No pies before 12 either, like Easter eggs.
Sorry?
No pies until after 12.
Jeez, it must be a fun house at your house. Can I let her actually get out of bed before midday at your joint?
Not before 12.
Not before 12.
Yeah.
Alrighty, now, Brisbane Lions, well, they got the chockies, didn't they? They had everything on a platter last night, seemingly.
Best midfield wins, TJ. That's a bit better of a saying, is it? Best midfield wins, you get that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice, because their clearance work was outstanding, plus 18. They're the best clearance side in the comp, and that's where it was won on the weekend. Zach Bailey was outstanding. We spoke about Lockie Neal earlier. Their midfield group continues to surprise me, just the depth they have at the moment. But Eric Hipwood, this last 3 weeks, Llordo, he's found some form, kicking 5, 2 and 4.
Yeah, 11 goals in the last 3 weeks, and he's been really heavily critiqued over his career because he's been so inconsistent. But I think with no Joe Danaher, it's amazing how much ball would be coming through him now. So that's the advantage of Joey not being there, is suddenly Eric becomes the man and more ball comes through him and you play more confidently. And that's what I expect for Aaron Norton. Aaron Norton didn't have the biggest game, but there'll be more reliance and it might be better for him, Damo.
And with Lohman again going down, this time with a shoulder injury, it's going to be even more open for Eric.
It's a great turnaround, isn't it, for Hipwood? Because he was a whipping boy of some sorts, only a year or two
still is.
Yeah, but even 2 weeks ago for him not to hardly touch it in the first half against the Dogs, he kicked 5, so he's maturing really well.
Dane Zorko had his argument with the coach last week, so when you do that, you want to follow up with a big game. And St Kilda, they allow their half-forwards to go up, and that allows the half-back flankers to play pretty much with nobody on them, but you can only do what you can do, and he had 34 disposals yesterday and played a Dane Zorko-type game. Busy, industrious, got the footy, used it well.
He's one of the best decision-makers.
When's the last time he's been sat on? Like, has he been sat on?
No, I don't think so. It's probably he gets away with it because of his age too at the moment, because no one expects him to have these style of games, but he keeps doing it week after week.
Rory, when Cadean Coleman comes back, and it's not too far away now from that knee, does he continue to play that role? Because ultimately that role he's playing was the Coleman role before he went down.
I think we've seen it with Josh Dacos, if I liken it to Collingwood. Josh Dacos and with Houston coming back, Josh Dacos is still playing that running half-back, sort of set up the play style role. So if you've got two of them, as long as they defend well, why not have both?
Rory, Australia decides next Saturday. What are your votes today?
My votes, speaking of a couple of old boys, Lockie Neal got the chockies with 9, Dane Zorko got the 8, Zach Bailey I thought was enormous, and Eric got the 7 for me.
OK, well, we did have to shelve it for legal reasons over the past couple of weeks. That, of course, is Media-Ocre, but it's back with a vengeance.
It is.
OK, and as you always say...
Don't take it too personally. Just take it for what it is. It's a bit of fun. If you muck up, we all have a laugh. We do it ourselves. We have a laugh here, so enjoy.
Here we go. Strap your laughing gear in.
It's important in this industry to get things right, especially when that's their name.
6 of the 11 goals kicked by Peter Rom.
It's not just names that have tripped some up. Getting sponsors right has proven difficult as well.
Half-time segment, it's come around, and the double AMI clangers, when clangers happened, it's lucky you're with double AMI. With Amy.
Yeah, we're lucky with you. You're with Amy.
Yeah, with Amy. And some people get it right, and some people get it completely wrong.
AFL 360 ran a touching obituary this week.
Oh, Darcy's hurt. He's grabbing at his left knee.
No. He was in a real pain, Jared. Real pain.
I think the game suffered a great loss this afternoon or this evening when Sam went down. I mean, he's the biggest, brightest, shining star we've got right now in the competition.
Despite this, the reports of Darcy's demise were greatly exaggerated. I'm pleased to report he survived and may even play later this year. Boundary riders brave the elements each and every week, so it's no surprise the weather is always top of mind.
How's he looking down there, Moons?
The weather?
No, Lockie Whitfield.
Well, I can't see him at the moment.
The rise of AI has everyone worried, but I don't think this robo-commentary would put the fear into the hearts of our sports callers.
Mental task here. Remember that, 17 years.
Derm made this very important observation yesterday.
That could have taken the mark. He lost his footing. Oh, Caminiti. That's a good look at those boots. I don't know how he loses his feet. He's got huge feet. They're big feet on Caminiti, aren't they? You got some inside info on that?
He does have big feet.
As far as foot fetishes go, he's got nothing on Mark Howard.
We had a look at Seth Campbell. You don't miss him because he's got the bright orange boots on. Dow with the grey boots. He takes the mark in the bright pink boots. The rising star in the bright pink boots. Josh Dacos in some fancy black and white boots. in the purple boots' day. Cam arrives with the bright gold boots. Child paddles it in front. Then the purple boots.
And that's Media-Ocre.
So, is there anyone you want to apologise to?
No, take it for what it is. It's just a little bit of fun, obviously. What? Do you think there's someone I need to apologise to?
Oh, just about everyone in that lot, I would have thought there.
No, it's just a bit of fun. You know, we make mistakes. We highlight our mistakes. I make more mistakes than anybody, and we highlight them. So, good luck. Go well next week. We'll be back again. So, my lead investigator is back. He's a bit sick at the moment.
But Mickey Roberts will be flat at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that's a bit
Mickey
low,
Roberts.
Mickey.
Oh. Poor Mickey.
He's a good man.
Just own it. Own your mistake and move on. Own your mistake and move on, right, Browny?
Yeah.
Well,
That's why pencils have erasers.
I worked with him for years upstairs in the newsroom. I'll get a phone call after the show. CJ, Robbo, I'm confused. All right, we'll take a break. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. Back with your segment right after this.
With one of the great men in footy.
Who knows footy? Footy Classified. That's who.
He's welcome in the club whenever he wants. Tommy, you've been right across it.
Taking you behind the headlines of the latest footy news.
Unbelievable vision from both of you.
The Newsbreakers.
Are they soft launching maybe a mini rebuild here?
All new Footy Classified. Monday on 9 and 9 now.
This year's Deep Dive, we're celebrating the best 30 players of the last 30 years, and Matthew Richardson, one of the great people of the game and one of the greatest players we've ever seen. And look at this record, 282 games, a whopping 800 goals, 3 All-Australians, Jack Dyer medalist, almost a Brownlow medalist that year, and 13 times the Richmond leading goal kicker. And Matthew Richardson, his father, Alan Bull Richardson. Yeah, he went father-son, Matthew Richardson. This is his first season in 1993, burst onto the scene, kicked a bag of 6 against Sydney in only his 6th game of football, kicked 31 goals that season, and what a talent we saw straight away as soon as he burst onto the scene. So just as good a runner as you'll see for someone at that 6'5", 6'6" height. The way he could get around the ground, Brownie, was amazing.
Yeah, it was, and he went to the wing later on in his career and did it really well. So he would run around the tan and beat a lot of the midfielders, and it was just one of those players that if someone got next to him, he'd want to beat them. He's just a competitive beast.
Yeah. Llordo, you mentioned that debut in 1993. Now, so in 94 he kicked 56 goals, and then in 95, this unfortunately happened to him early in the season. He's already had kicked 27 goals for the year before round 8, and that was an ACL damage, out for the remainder of the year. There was obviously worries, TJ. Even the size of the boundary line there at the SCG was a story that particular week. Returned the next year in 1996 and slammed home 91 goals for the season. Regularly kicked bags of goals, and on 3 other occasions kicked 60s on a season return, a couple of 50s as well, but could do it either side of the body when he needed to. But to respond after that ACL, Llordo, was another part of a famous story.
Well, he's spoken about that ACL and how that shaped, I reckon, his career afterwards, and how he got to develop, and it made him stronger, and it made him just a better footballer in general. So unbelievable what you can do with the right attitude with the ACL.
Before we lead into the goals, obviously, that you're going to look at, the marks, like Buddy Franklin, just someone that big. It was amazing how good he was below his knees, in the air. He could do it all, couldn't he?
Absolutely. And you've seen a couple of guys, we was talking about Sam Darcy when we likened the injury to the ACL, but Riley Philthorpe, there's guys now that are probably moulding their games, not off him, but looking at guys like that were so good at all facets of the game.
So his big marks, Rory, talk us through some of that.
Yeah, well, he took 2,270 marks across his career, which keeps him at 4th of all time, which is unbelievable. Twice he took 21 marks in a game against Fitzroy, and in 2008 against Hawthorn as well. But we
21.
21, which is unbelievable. But again, like good in all facets of the game, left, right foot, above the air, on the ground. He was just unbelievable and could take a hanger as well.
Brilliant. How hard did he work, Brownie, like as a teammate? Is he one of the hardest workers?
It wasn't any harder. There wasn't a harder worker at the football club when it came to running and covering the ground. He was just unbelievable, 6'6", and he could run like a midfielder, but had the heart to do it when other players couldn't do it or chose not to do it.
And he made you smile, Richo, when you watched him play, because not everything was perfect, and some of these goals just sum up Richo at times. So Mark's dropped there. Look at him. Goes to take a bounce, loses the ball, Richo, but then is able to pick the ball up and kick a goal like that. And then this one, they were showing the bounce again. But he was good enough. and mobile enough to get back on.
Strong enough.
And this one was amazing. He's actually kicked the ball. He's fallen over. And then he's able to kick that ball out of Troy Luff's hands. Luffy would be watching.
Come on, Luffy.
He's we see a replay here. What's this? Richo just gets the ball. Luffy thinks he's got it, and Richo just taps it out of his hand. So he's a miracle man, Richo.
One of his great individual performances came in 2004, where he kicked 10 goals against the Western Bulldogs, round 8, and he destroyed the Dogs this day. It was just an absolute masterclass. That's his best mate, Ben Harrison, that he started on there. They grew up together, and he was just unstoppable this day. I think they had about 4 or 5 different opponents on him, but it was just one of those days where the ball was going his way, and he kicked a big bag of 10. And it was a close game, as you can see right here. We're only up by 2 points at this stage, and it was the Matthew Richardson show. He kicked 10, he got 3 in the Brownlow quite comfortably this day. I had 30 and kicked 3 and got the 2, but, you know, it's not about me. It's all about Richo this day. So he'll kick a left foot snap here for his 10th, which is, and I'm putting my hands up for the handball there, but, you know, well done, Richo.
All right, made it all about yourself there, Nath. So 4 years after that, he was in the Brownlow votes again in a big way, because even though he played predominantly on the wing, he came, well, he's only 2 votes shy of Adam Goods in this particular Brownlow. So it was an extraordinary effort there from him. He eventually came 3rd, I think, didn't he?
That's what he played on the wing. He played on the wing all season.
Yeah. But I will say that I've always said that Dermot Brereton's probably one of the nicest people, if not the nicest person I've met in football. But this guy runs a very, very close second.
Well,
because...
And he was ruthless on the field too. Like, he wore his heart on his sleeve. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Just in terms of treating everyone as an equal.
You're spot on, TJ. You wouldn't meet a better bloke in football. And unfortunate for Cooney there, I think the whole room wanted Richo to win because he's so popular. And Richo was good enough to send us a message this morning.
Oh, Llordo, Richo here. Hey, mate, I just got news that you've included me in your top 30 players in your time playing. And I have been watching the segment and I actually wasn't holding my breath that I was going to get in the top 30, because I know you're absolutely filthy that I've kicked the most goals at the MCG and not you. I think I've got you by 2 or 3. We're both retired, so let's be honest, you can't catch me. So it's a great surprise. I'm very, very honoured, mate, and it just shows what a man you are. Really good of you, mate. I really appreciate it. Cheers, mate.
Richo, I didn't want to show it, but I have to. Damo, over to you.
Well, as you can see, he only got you by 3, Llordo. But, yeah, it's a record that I don't think is going to be got near, is it? I mean, look at the names that are beneath him on that list. They're all superstars themselves and they've all retired. I don't think it's going to get near it.
No, I don't think anyone gets there.
Terrific stuff. Another one out of the box there, Llordo. Well done.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. You're watching the Sunday Footy Show. More right after this.
Pair. These got a couple Travis Scotts. I love those, but I've probably got about 25 now. Added another one to the collection.
Your whole collection together, how much would it cost, do you reckon?
I will not disclose. I want to really actually just work out how much I've actually paid for them, but yeah, it'd be over 20k probably.
With the way your career's going, I don't think you've got to worry about it too much there. Do you have one
for
investment?
It's investment.
Do you have one for every train line, or do you have the bum bags to match?
I used to rock a few bum bags back in the day, but matured with time, as everyone does.
Very much looking forward to this. Of course, Jeremy Cameron, Nick Watson in action today. They'll be just 2 of the co-hosts on a different type of footy show launching tomorrow. Now, joining them, a kid by the name of Nick Dacos in a brand new show that will showcase the game's biggest names in a whole new light. Players. It's a show by the players for the fans. Current day stars given the keys to the show, bringing you a whole new insight into modern AFL superstardom. That's Nick Dacos, Nick Watson, Jeremy Cameron. Tomorrow night on YouTube and on Channel 9, right after Footy Classified. So,
and my man,
who's the guy?
Felix von Hoff.
Oh, is he the guy that shoved you from the hosting job on Sportsbet?
He absolutely. He's very good at what he does. He's an all-round sportsman, all-round commentator, former NBL player. In his first game, went for 5 three-pointers and missed all 5 of them. But he's a lot better.
But he's really good
commentator than what he is basketballer. But I like Felix. He's a good man, and he'll be very good for that show.
Anyway, there's Jeremy Cameron, Nick Watson, Nick Dacos is there, but it's all about Felix von Hoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
good name.
I think you might be overcompensating a bit,
I agree.
Nate.
Good name,
isn't
it?
With you, TJ.
Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on and have a look at North Melbourne. Well, I know we're not into honourable losses, but they did show a hell of a lot more than they have previously.
Yeah, they looked like they were going to be belted early, and then they fought back hard. And late in the game, they had their chances. They just missed some golden opportunities to score when they had all the momentum. So Butters, Rosie, Horne-Francis, all their stars are performing week in and week out at the moment. Sheasel improved yesterday. Parker, 27. LDU was probably their best still. Curtis, what a player and season he is
Good
having.
season.
Yeah, he's having a wonderful season. But Rory, Sam Palpepper, he's a heartbeat player.
Yeah, we've spoken about their stars and their midfield, but this guy up forward, when they were lacking some forward pressure, this guy has been the catalyst for them keeping that ball inside their front half. He looks strong, he looks powerful after returning from his ACL, but he gets up the ground, he resets back hard, he applies the pressure, and he's almost their barometer for if they're going to be a hard, tough side. Look at this. He brings that consistently. If he's going to keep bringing that, that's what Port need to keep winning games, because they've got to keep the ball in their front half, and that's what they're good at.
Browny, a question for you. So Georgiades, he's the number one man at Port Adelaide, but Lord, how do you see Lord? Do you think he's someone you just persevere with? Do you think he's ready?
I think so. I think you need to develop, because I think 15 times we went to Georgiades a couple of weeks ago, which I think is too many for one forward to go to. So if you've got the option, obviously he needs to get bigger, he needs to get stronger. He's only a young man, he's been around for a little bit, but I would persevere. He looks like he's got natural ability. I think now he needs to work on the workmanship of the game.
Llordo, he kicked 4 goals in the final, this guy, a couple of years ago. Went missing last year. There were injury concerns and also balance issues, but he's clearly got some talent.
Yeah, absolutely, Damo. And it just takes time for some. He's got a few Kelshire traits with him, with the way he can leap for the ball and his mobility.
Well, it's Georgiades a bit of time as well to cement his spot.
Yeah, sure.
All right, you got some votes?
Yeah, the votes are all Port Adelaide dominant players. So Zach Butters, when he's up and about, he's outstanding. As you're right, Damo, I do have horne-francis in the votes. Rosie, outstanding again, and Palpepper, the heartbeat of that side.
Now, you're being very modest today, Llordo. Great coaching effort yesterday. First up with Harbury.
Thanks, TJ. Yeah, Brighton Grammar and us are the arch rivals, and we're at a win by 4 goals in the end. So
right, your kids are playing first up today too?
Browny, your son's playing at the moment?
Yeah, they're all playing at the moment.
Daughters?
So 2 daughters are playing. My son's playing at the moment. So good luck to all the young kids out there playing football, because it all kicks off today.
And Jacob's got a 2 o'clock game, so they'll be out there later.
Oh, great stuff.
Nice.
And big shout out to Caniva Lior. Big win under lights. And also Seaford Tigers won it in the first 30 seconds. Any local footy you want to give a shout out to? Adelaide Crows?
No local footy for me. We had a big week in Adelaide with some clinics, which was unbelievable.
Yes or no? Okay. We'll take a break. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. Rory will have time to think about that and come back to us right after this.
Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. It's time for everybody's favourite segment, Brownie's Quiz, brought to you by Sportsbet. $500 on the line for some home viewers. A very good morning to you, Tony Barber. Who are you playing for?
Glennishinge, Laverton, Victoria.
Annalise Wood, Narangba, Queensland.
Ryan Errington from Mandurah in Western Australia.
Chris Manilopoulos from Mont Albert North.
Okay, so we've just had Anzac Day clash, Collingwood-Essendon. So this is all about Collingwood-Essendon. Had discussions at high level whether, because it's about Essendon, does Llordo start on -1 as a handicap?
-3. Should be -3.
But they've decided no, because we're playing for money. People are playing at home for Sportsbet $500. You're all going to start on 0. So
and Llordo's flying this.
Got a bit of a leg up here, Llordo. Question number 1. Who was Essendon's last Brownlow medalist?
Bananas, mate. Joe Watson, if you count him, or James Hurd.
Well,
I'll accept that. I'll accept that, James Hurd.
Well, that's fair.
He answered it well.
For 1 point.
We've got to give it
2 players have won 3 Anzac Day medals.
Bananas, mate. Hurd.
Yep.
And Pendlebury.
Absolutely. Off to a flyer, Llordo. Should have given him that handicap. -2.
You should have sat out.
Anyway, famous faces question. For 2 points, who has kicked the most goals for Collingwood and Essendon, respectively?
Cankles. Oh, jeez. Well, Gordon Coventry.
Bananas, mate.
Hey, let him answer.
I thought you meant on Anzac Day, sorry.
Gordon Coventry.
Yep.
And Matthew Lloyd.
Absolutely. Well done, TJ. Famous faces. These are all Anzac Day medalists. Come on.
Jack Ginnivan's up there. No, I'm not picking him. No, I'm not picking him. I'm not picking him. Scott Pendlebury. Scott Pendlebury.
All right. You get a run on, Tony.
DJ.
So the run on questions. We don't have a run on.
Okay, fine.
Oh, we don't have
Get
a
another
run-on.
pick of the board.
Okay. I'll go.
Making this up as we go.
Sorry?
Come on.
I'll go Ginnivan. He's given me nothing, so I might as well get something. Yeah, that'd be right. That'd be right.
I had to laugh.
That'd be right. I mean, seriously.
In 1990 and 1993, both Essendon and Collingwood had big...
No, sorry, that was a mistake.
You're out, Tony.
No,
Negative
a
one.
mistake. It was a mistake.
Big names left out of grand finals and ultimate premierships.
Damo's the key.
93 was Derek Kicker.
Cankles.
And 1990 was... I can't remember.
Bananas, mate.
That was me.
It's timing. It's timing.
Come on.
No.
Ron McEwen.
Well, he was left out of it, but
Brian Taylor's the one.
Brian Taylor is the one I was looking for, Tony. Well done.
I will say, though, that was the big one.
Do I lose a point for that or not?
Yes.
Yeah. Collingwood have won 16 premierships. How many times have they been runner-up?
Oh, jeez.
Damo's answer, though, 28.
28?
Yeah, just
Incorrect. 26.
Oh, geez, you weren't far right.
Who won the 2023 Norm Smith medal?
Bananas,
Bobby
mate.
Hill. Bobby Hill. You look at the board, Llordo.
-2. Oh, because that... No, that's
I will go Paul Seedsman.
Yeah, good.
The seed.
Oh, just up middle
There he is. Mute. You can mute someone for a question,
Cedo
Llordo.
is definitely not a mute. He's the opposite.
Damo.
Just for one question?
Yeah.
2000 was Essendon's last flag. Who did they beat?
Bananas, mate.
Melbourne, nice. Which Pie small forward kicked the winning goal Anzac Day 2012?
I'll say Scott.
Incorrect.
Jared Blair.
Let's have a look.
Damo's the key.
Is he allowed to speak then?
Yeah, I missed the other one.
So Llordo on 3, everybody else on negative, and TJ negative 3 as usual.
Got to go Nicky Dacos.
Nicky Dacos up the top. You can steal a point from someone, Damien.
Llordo, I'll take off a point, please.
Okay. 5 players have played 300 games for Essendon. For 2 points, name 3 of them.
Damo's the key.
Gary Foltz.
Yep.
Simon Madden.
Yes.
And...
Bananas, mate. And
Negative 1, Damien.
Fletcher.
Dustin Fletcher, absolutely. Tim Watson and Dick Reynolds was the other one. Which former Collingwood captain played for Collingwood, Essendon and then...
Cankles.
Well, Des Tuddenham played for both. That's my answer.
Okay, Des Tuddenham is correct. Tony, you get a pick of the board.
+3 here, TJ.
Who would you go for? I'm going to go Joe Danaher.
Joe Danaher.
That's a good answer.
You can risk all your points, which is -2, so you can't risk any. Bad luck, Tony. Okay, this is the last Famous Faces question 2. Closest to the pin. Travis Cloke kicked how many goals for Collingwood? Everyone gets a go.
Oh, jeez.
Now, Tony, that way. Go. -1, Tony.
Hang on, let me think. I've got no idea. I'll say 290.
Jack's already in here saying hurry up.
I'll say 320.
I said 290.
350.
461.
Damien, 441. Okay, before the Who Am I, let's check the scores. Llordo is 3. Only Damo, I think, can beat him. Rory, you would have to get the 5 first up. I'm a former coach of one of these clubs for 5 points.
Damo's answer, though, is Mick Malthouse.
Incorrect, you're out. I am also a former captain of one of these clubs for 4 points.
Damo's the key.
Mark Thompson.
Incorrect. I am a Norm Smith medalist for 3 points.
Tony Shaw.
Tony Shaw is right, Llordo. Oh, have a look at him. How happy he is with himself. You've never seen a quiz. You've never seen a quiz more built for anybody. It's like a handball over the top of the goal square.
I'm in good touch.
It's like a handball over the top, Llordo.
But why didn't we just give it to him from the outset?
He's
It'd be
like to
like
win
if
it.
we had a quiz and you were playing and it was
Like
a quiz
Hawthorn
of
West
dunks.
Coast today. We feel like Hawthorn's going to smash them, but they still have to win it,
Tony.
Tony.
That favours Tony next week.
Hey?
We do one that favours you.
Tennis?
Okay.
Awkward moments.
Tennis?
Ryan Errington from Mandurah, Western Australia.
Well done, Ryan. $500 coming your way. Thanks to Sportsbet. If you want to enter, wwos.9.com.au/Brownie Squish. Yes, Llordo?
Famous people in television.
See, again, it's all built around you, isn't it? All right, we'll take a break. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. Thanks for the thought, though, Llordo.
Right.
We'll be back right after this.
Primetime takeaways, looking back at the Thursday and Friday night games. We're going to start with the Thursday night one, Melbourne v Richmond. And Max Gawn was taken off the ground and the whole game changed. Richmond kicked 4 goals when they rested him for the last 11 or 12 minutes. So I want to ask you, TJ, in this century, 25 years, his only peer is Dean Cox, in my opinion. There's no one even else who comes close. So Cox or Gawn, you think, is the greatest ruckman in this century?
Well, you'd have to say Max Gawn, with all due respect to Dean Cox.
What do you think, Brownie?
Well, I think Max Gawn purely for the fact that how many times he stands up for Melbourne and he's the one that gets them over the line, whereas Dean Cox had so many other players that help them win games, and I feel like Max Gawn stands tall more often than not. And even 3 weeks ago, people were starting to doubt Max Gawn. He's had back-to-back unbelievable games, so I'm going with Max.
Yeah, how do you pick, right? I mean, Coxie was unbelievable. And I think these skills probably just make him a little bit better than Gawn, but it's tough to pick.
Browny, we obviously have heard Chris Judd laud, haven't we, Dean Cox regularly over the journey, and look, marginally Cox for me, Llordo, but it's hardcore, isn't it?
Yeah, the work rate of Gawn is unbelievable. I think Cox as well, I think sometimes we forget just how good guys are once they've retired, agree on the foot skills. Collingwood and Essendon, Collingwood were far too good, right? They were hit the front of the Bombers halfway through the third quarter, but Collingwood's system and depth of talent just got a hold of them. TJ, do they have a weakness, this Collingwood side, do you think?
Well, you'd have to put a question mark over the age of the group. You know, they're fielding the oldest teams ever, you know. But then you look at someone like Steele Sidebottom on Friday and you think it's not affecting them.
So is age helping them?
Will it... Sorry?
Is the age going the other way and it's actually helping them more so because of what they've got?
They're good teachers.
Yeah.
But what happens come September? I mean, you know, will it catch up with them?
There's
no evidence of that.
The other aspect of when they won the premiership, they were coming from nowhere to win. Now they're just obliterating sides overall, so they may be going better than they were.
I think the only thing is possibly, if you're asking for a weakness, it's not a big weakness, it's tall defenders. So you're asking Jeremy Howe to play oversized all the time. Darcy Moore goes out. Frampton was okay the other night, but if there was one area, that would be, and it's not a weakness at the moment, but it could be.
I think the only way you can beat them is if you beat them in the contest and you go hard at them, because as soon as they get inside their forward 50, it's really hard to get out.
And Damo's Darcy Cameron is important as anyone. If he was to go down...
Yeah, I feel he is, Llordo, and he's still yet to work out what he's going to do in 2026 and beyond, and he's letting his manager do all the talking in that space. But while that's happening, he's not missing a beat. And again, I think he's right now in that conversation for All-Australian. I know we're only 8 or 7 rounds in, but I think he's having a really nice season.
I'll tell you what, whatever he does, he's going to get a massive pay rise.
Does McStay out hurt him? Is that a weakness now?
I think with Membry there, Jamie Elliott plays tall. Myercheck as well. I think they'll be fine. Yeah.
All right, and of course we discussed the Freo Adelaide situation a little earlier in the program. Let's take a break now, and as we do, don't forget...
Lou Richards leaderboard first up, Turney, and Nick Dacos is out by a 10-vote lead from his teammate. Steele, Sidebottom, Wangati Miller, Connor Rozee had back-to-back good games, Kaleb Sarong and Zach Bailey, his best season, I think, in his career so far. Kick 4 and another 20. But this is the winner. So we have the best prize packs in the business. The winner of the Lou Richards Medal in 2025 will walk away with the Lexus LBX two-wheel drive luxury model, valued at a drive-away price of $55,502. Lexus of Blackburn. This includes all on-road costs and a 12-month Victorian registration. So when you come on the Sunday Footy Show, it is the best prize pack in the business. Lexus, well done.
I was very excited to get to the break because I wanted to tell you about Footy Furnace, which is on tonight. Check your local guides, but this is must-see TV for a Sunday night. That man, Jimmy Bartell, Tom Morris and also James Hird, setting the agenda from the get-go at the very, very start of the week.
On a Sunday night.
On a Sunday night. Can you believe it? We do it on a Sunday morning. They follow us on a Sunday night. That's all coming up. Check your local guides. We'll take a break.
Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. It's Sunday agenda time, and unfortunately for Collingwood's Dan McStay, he has suffered another knee injury. This one specifically is a medial collateral ligament. It seemed innocuous at the time when he went down in the goal square of the Anzac Day match, Browny, but it is a 6 to 8 week diagnosis. The club has put that on him already as a result of scans yesterday, and the timeline is obviously going to take in every bit of those 6 to 8 weeks. Just the history with him and knees. It was a right knee MCL damage in the 2023 preliminary final. He then damaged his ACL 3 months after that in 2023, and the current damage is the left knee, the one that he did require a reconstruction on at the end of 2023. So important for Collingwood, but as you said a few moments ago, Llordo, with the forward line set up and the acquisition of Tim Membry to play alongside Brodie Myercheck, they can probably cover that period of time.
Yeah, he's a big loss, but as TJ says, as the weather gets worse, and he's so good down the line with his big contested marking, so will be a loss as the weather gets worse, but I think they can cover and still win enough games.
Yep. Rory, the Jamari Ugle-Hagan situation at the Western Bulldogs, it's coming to a form of a pointy end. I say that because A couple of articles during the week, and there's going to be a decision made, I feel, in the next 4 to 6 weeks on how 2025 looks. Now, he's contracted for 2026, but I just wanted to raise this today from your perspective as a former captain of a football club and the distraction that this clearly is on everyone at the moment.
Well, it's not showing. That's probably the best bit at the moment, and that's all they can focus on. I think we've heard Bevo talk about it, and Bond's probably had enough around the distraction and just honing all his effort and energy on the playing group that are there at the moment and winning games of footy. And they clearly haven't let it bother them at all, because you'd see the cracks, and we haven't seen them.
And Sam Darcy going down, Llordo, with Aaron Norton now being able to, I suppose, assume more responsibility in that situation, it's not the loss that we probably feared last week.
I found, like Browny, even the week when he did go down, St Kilda were triple teaming him. They were going at him, whereas now the unpredictability of that Dogs 4, like Harms kicked 4 last night, so they've got that
West
as well.
Stepped up.
Yeah.
Well, how many sides in history have lost their 2 key targets up forward and still performed this way? I don't think many.
And then you add what would normally be disruption, the coach deliberately and wanting to stay at a contract at this stage, the captain, the great Marcus Bontempelli, also TJ in a similar situation. You package all of those issues up and you think this might be a club that's in a bit of strife, and yet it's actually galvanising them to the point where they're 4 wins, 3 losses, Brownie, and probably had their best performance last night against GWS.
You almost start to think, can they push? You said there's only 4 teams that can win it, and then you talked about the Western Bulldogs. Can they win a premiership? Is their list at the moment, the way they've added to it and what they've got to come back, is it a premiership list?
Yeah, and can you get by through depth of midfield, which they're doing at the moment? And Rory Lobb played with a bit more of a presence when he went forward last night, which is another option.
I still reckon Saturday, Port Adelaide, Footscray, Western Bulldogs is going to be a cracker.
In Ballarat, isn't it?
Yeah,
which you spoke of. So they should go in as heavy favourites for that one.
There were communications breakdown in the coach's box on Anzac Day, and one club, Collingwood, didn't have a problem with it. Essendon did, but it just reinforces the point that has been such a prominent part of Craig McRae's coaching at the Pies, that when these things happen, it doesn't matter because the leadership takes over on field.
Again, when you get a group that's sort of performing, you've got to get out of the way sometimes. I know the great Lee Matthews taught me that way back. There's a big snowball, he used to call it, going down the hill, and it just gets bigger and more momentum. We'll get out of the way of it. So, I've certainly been trusting these guys. They know what to do in the moments, and so quite often when that happened, I said, just relax, we're okay. We got this. Let the players be, and we give them the keys. They drive the car really well at the moment.
Well, we got a real insight into this in the last quarter of the 2023 Grand Final when Scott Pendlebury effectively was a captain coach in that last 30 minutes of that season. And now you see it again, no communications on that ground in another big game, and it just doesn't matter for that club.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is they're different groups. So one's so experienced, handle it, one's inexperienced. You've also got one coach in the box with all these coaches, and then there's a coach who's down on the ground. So I think 2 things worked in Collingwood's favour, the experience and that their coach is on the ground anyway.
Has it become too complicated, though? Do you know what I mean? Like Craig McRae says, just let them go. Just let them go. I mean, you wonder, like I saw, Scott Pendlebury on the bench on the phone having a, elongated. What would you be saying to Scott Pendlebury?
Well, that was I think Scotty Selwood is the midfield coach. Who was talking to him. And I know Scott's a huge fan of him and in what he's bringing to the table as well.
You'd be talking upstairs. Pendles would be going, this is what I'm seeing. Are you seeing the same thing? Or how do we pick up Essendon spare here? Or, quell them at a stoppage?
And Brownie, Chad Warner during the week re-signed with the Sydney Swans. He now takes in the 26 and 7 seasons. I feel a smart move for club and player. The interest clearly was there from both Perth clubs, and he's now got himself in a situation where he can hopefully, for his sake, win a grand final with the Swans, having already lost 2 of them. But equally importantly, from his own perspective, takes him into free agency at the end of that second year.
Yep, and now Sydney have got 2 years to try and teach him, not teach him, but try and lure him into staying with performances, with where the club's going, and I'd imagine that Chad Warner would be very happy. Price, Damo, where are we talking?
Yeah, Cal Toomey reported during the week that this particular deal for 6 and 7 is 1.3 to 1.4 per year. Ooh. So we're talking 2.8 in totality.
So would the Eagles need to pay close to 2 to get him in the following years?
Probably, yeah. And look, that won't sound as big a number as it does right now, given the increases that are already forecast in the CBA.
Good stuff, Damo. Now, we'll take a break when we come back. Now, Llordo, as someone who's obviously followed Carlton in your younger years, they've had some magnificent eras, haven't they? I mean, you talk about football clubs with eras. I reckon Carlton, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, maybe not at the moment, but another era will come. So we'll reflect on one of those great eras and one of those great teams right after this. 1995, Carlton fans, it's coming your way. When playing away from home, the Sunday Footy Show stays at the Langham, Melbourne. The
Langham, Melbourne, a proud supporter of the Sunday Footy Show.
Welcome back. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. Still plenty of football and some terrific matches set down for today, not least Carlton and Geelong. And as we check in with Jess Webster, the Blues already cause for celebration. Jess?
Thanks, TJ. Yes, I am here indeed with a very, very special guest. It is, of course, Carlton 1995 premiership player Glenn Manton, who is with me on what is a very special weekend of celebrations. Of course, 30 years since that famous day at the MCG.
I was just trying to do the math in my head. It is a long time ago. Almost your age.
I'm so sorry to remind you that it is 30 years ago. But
it's reality, isn't it?
You did have an unofficial gathering last night, I do believe. So first question this morning, how are you feeling?
I'm completely fine. I left at 10 o'clock when the discussion turned to hip replacements. When that happened, I knew it was time to hit the road.
Times have certainly changed indeed, but a massive game at the G today and you've got some more plans this afternoon. Tell us about those.
Yes, I think the club has arranged for us to be paraded around the MCG, I think to the cheer squad, which is nice because the supporters are such a huge part of that day that you were calling, and of course modern times now. The game itself today mightn't go our way as it did in 95 though.
Oh, we'll have to wait and see. You have to give the boys maybe some more confidence there. But
we're just being a little bit realistic about it. It could be a tough day out. But then again, they get a win and they get on a serious roll. So, you never know, fingers crossed.
Certainly never know indeed. But going back to 1995, tell us about some of your fondest memories of that day. And does it change when these, special milestones come up during the year? Do you remember different things about that day, or is there one memory in particular that stands out to you?
I honestly can remember the fact that I thought in my mind that we would win the game. So that was an exciting way to lead into the game. I love that the day itself showcased the skill sets of virtually every player on our team, like really highlighted their strengths and how they added to a team fabric. That's really exciting to reflect upon that. But just to see the fact that people change over time and they go in many different directions, and we've had so many different successful people from that team beyond football, and I think that's really nice to reflect upon too.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us about what you like about the current squad, and is there any particular players that you enjoy watching these days?
Well, now I have to try and make it up, given the fact that you think I was giving them a little bit of a razz a minute ago. No, the players themselves are wonderful. For example, Jacob Wiedering, I have an amazing relationship with Jacob because I coached him when he was a younger footballer. There are so many likeable people within and around that particular team. It's like any sport, to be honest, Jess, particularly in 2025. You just need to get a little bit of confidence and get on a roll. And whilst I made a facetious comment earlier, quite truthfully, there is an opportunity to maybe snatch one today, an unexpected win, which would then give the team some genuine momentum.
Now, I hate to remind you again, but 30 years is a long time ago. But tell us what you're up to these days.
Apart from coming in and out of the old person's home, which I am clearly just going to wander back to after this interview, I do a lot of speaking publicly, and I'm on radio and 3AW, which is lovely too. So I've got a very big and diverse life, and football is no longer a genuine day-to-day part of it, but it's always in your heart.
Amazing. Well, enjoy the celebrations today at the G. It's been great to catch up, and go Blues, yeah?
We'll do this next Sunday morning, hey? Right here. TJ, back to you.
Oh, I tell you what, he's good. He's very good. He's good. Great to see him, and part of just another wonderful era of football for the Carlton Football Club. Tips for that match today?
Carlton for me. Get it done. They're in good form.
Cats, but I'm not going to be surprised if the Blues win.
Yeah, Geelong.
Yeah, Cats just.
All right, what about Gold Coast, Sydney?
Gold Coast need to respond after last week, so that's a huge game against Sydney, and look for them to respond.
Gold Coast.
Same.
Gold Coast for me, and Hawthorn to beat the West Coast Eagles.
West Coast. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
We'll get belted on Smith.
Llordo. That is one of the great get-outs.
Sorry.
But if they do get up, we'll run that next week and just chop out. All right, terrific stuff. All right, we've got the handball coming up next. I beg your pardon? Yes, that's right, Jack. Jack Oucher. Thank you, Jack. Yeah, that's right. Animal Fact coming up right now with Damo.
Speaking to you, piece there, TJ. Now, the Animal Fact today is a life lesson, and that lesson is pretty simple. Just don't put yourself in situations where you can be eaten by a creature. This mermaid, Brownie,
Damo,
don't get into a fish tank with a sturgeon. If you want to get in a fish tank, get in one with a guppy, but not a sturgeon. She's okay.
The mermaid was okay.
She's okay. No, we wouldn't be running it if she wasn't, but... It's a little life lesson there for all of us.
Don't get in tanks.
Do you run these by anyone?
He sent it to me last night. Look at him.
It's that awful.
She's okay. She actually is okay.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. But for all the kids who now never want to go back in the water again, it doesn't happen.
Not with sturgeons, anyway.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, it is don't take anything on board that he gives you. We'll take a break. Louis' handball is up next. Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. Almost time for the final siren, my little friend.
Absolutely. It's been a good day so far. Been a great show. Who we got here?
Well, we've got from the St Kilda Football Club, Anthony Caminiti. How are you, mate?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Very well, thank you. And from the Richmond Football Club, Kaleb Smith. Well, all the way from Perth, has been for the past couple of years. How are you, mate?
Good, thank you, mate.
Good. Now, have you got your mum and dad over here?
I do, mate. Yeah, got them over for a couple of days, visiting from Perth. So, yeah, it's good having me.
Why do you keep looking over there? Oh, because that's where they are. There they are.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, your dad said, don't put us on camera. Sorry about that.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, no worries at all. How are you tracking?
Yeah, pretty good. Obviously, it was a tough loss yesterday, but I'm sure we'll bounce back.
Well, the guys want to talk to you about that.
Well, they are the reigning premiers and they're a special group. What did you learn from a side like that who are at the top of their game?
Yeah, obviously, they jumped us pretty early, so just their front half game is pretty good. So I guess obviously their front half game as well, but also just their midfielders probably got us at clearances a bit, but we kind of edged it back later in the game, but it's probably a little too late.
And yourself, playing key back, how have you found it coming up against the big boys?
Yeah, I've probably never played their juniors, so it was the first time I've played key defender ever in my life, really, but I've had great support from the club with players like Callum Wilkie, Jared Rivers, our defence line coach, so yeah, they've been so helpful as well, so yeah.
You also spent some time forward yesterday too. It's a few clubs doing this with their bigger players. Is that going to be the norm for you now for the remainder of the year, do you think?
Yeah, I think I'll just get swung around wherever I guess the team needs me. I think long term, I think I'll be a key defender, but I guess in the short term, if
with Max King obviously out,
if the team needs me forward, I'm happy to play up forward as well. So,
what was Ross the Boss's message after the game?
The message was probably just about the clearances stuff in the first quarter, and then probably just about their front half game, just locking it in and trying to get out of there and starting our transition from back half.
Caleb, we're going to get to you in just a tick, but one more. These guys have seen Ross, the soft Ross, you know, sort of on a footy classified. What's he like? What, you know, asked about after the game. What was he like at quarter time?
Yeah, you probably saw in the vision that he wasn't too happy. I think we probably needed a bit of a spray, to be honest, like just to rev us up a bit.
Are you scared of him?
Sprays are good.
Oh, you could probably fear's probably a bit. You probably need a bit of fear in your coach. Just I guess you probably don't want to not like your coach, but I think having a bit of fear is good for your development.
That's a yes.
So yeah.
And Caleb, 7 career games to date, and so what's your areas that Adam Uze's talking to you about to try and stabilise yourself in that AFL senior team?
Yeah, obviously didn't play much in my first year, so kind of missed a bit of opportunity there through injury. But yeah, obviously played a few AFL games now, getting a few under my belt. Playing that half-back role at the moment, just trying to find the balance between attacking and defence at the moment. But yeah, mainly that half-back role, trying to get a bit of speed, a bit of run and flare off the half-back and bring my speed into the game and get us moving forward.
Well, let's show that mark again, because that was an absolute ripper against the Saints. Talk us through it. And is this a part of your game that you're big on?
Yeah, something I obviously do pride myself on. I read the ball well.
And did you just come on then too?
Yeah, I came on as sub at that time, so I just try to impact as much as I can.
That was the mark of the round, was it?
I think so, mate, yeah.
What about Hicko was looking for the free kick?
Who does that remind you of?
But yeah, no, the boys were getting into me. It's like, I don't think I've ever defended a lead up and took a hanger at the same time. But yeah, I was in a good spot and I was like, I'm gonna have a crack. So
because you're part of this young group, aren't you?
Yeah.
Sort of like, you know, sort of not starting from rock bottom, but sort of like emerging to try and, you know, recreate that greatness of not that long ago.
Yeah, obviously we've got a lot of young talent in the draft. Boys have been absolutely awesome, and they're just bringing what they can to the club, and if that's off field or on field, plenty of experience. I was saying to Rory earlier, and yeah, they're just bringing every great talent into the club.
Every ounce of energy. Now, before you do that, mate, let's set it. You didn't say you don't like Ross Lyon, OK? So, Ross, if you're watching, Anthony did not say. He's sitting there thinking, Christ, did I just say that I don't like Ross Lyon?
No,
OK, he didn't say that.
Voice for voiceovers is a very deep voice as well.
Well, maybe we'll get him to do the temper read, shall we?
No, I like to do the temper read. I'll get him to do it because they're very good people down at Temper. You come on the Footy Show. These are the best prize packs in the business. Total of $15,000 if you can win this one. And this is the Temper mattress. It is the best mattress. Goes into 0G. That's how they take off in NASA. It's unbelievable. The Pro Smart Temper Ergo Pro Smart delivery and installation included. It goes up and down as well. So it is the best mattress. It is so comfortable. You sleep well at night on that, and then you get the Callaways out during the day. Have a look at these. The elite golf clubs from our top mates at Callaway, along with a custom fitting at Callaway HQ. Total prize around $15,000. Now, at the moment, Brady the Leadio is leading the way on 79. I think it was one with 81 the year before, but 79, so $15,000 worth of prizes.
OK, so 5 handballs each off either hand. OK, who's going to go first?
I can go.
Caleb?
Caleb just played at Heritage on the weekend, so he needs a new set of golf clubs.
Go on, Rory.
Spat it out. Great start.
17.
5.
Ooh, 22.
7.
29.
Great take.
7.
36.
That's 5.
That's it.
Yep, that's 5.
Good start.
7.
Good start.
Unlucky.
7.
14.
Take, Damo.
7.
21.
7.
28. Very consistent, Anthony Caminiti. So it's a ring-a-ding-ding. 36 plays 35.
All right, Caleb.
Big finish.
Oh, yes. 46.
7.
53. That's 63.
Wow. We could be on here.
70.
Play it.
You going to play it?
70.
7.
Oh, Llordo.
I think it went through.
Has to go through. 7.
77. Very good score. And at the moment, that gets him into second place.
Mate, that bullseye would have got you as the overall leader.
Oh.
No.
Liz doesn't turn up on the day.
7.
42. 44.
2.
46.
Harsh.
Harsh.
Horrible. 7.
51.
Generous.
Oh, almost finished with a nice one. 60 plays, 77. Kaleb Smith, that is a big score. Well done.
That is a great effort, mate. And only a couple shy there of another.
What did you think of Llordo's call with the one that went in and came back out?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd love to give it. They are the rules, Nathan.
Should have paid it.
I reckon the ball went through.
Nathan.
Captain Grumpy.
The whole ball crossed
I talked over the top of him. Look at him. Captain Grumpy Jones.
I mean, yeah. If
We're just trying to have a bit of fun.
If I could
with the
just
guest.
finish a sentence, Nathan.
Just trying to have a bit of fun with the guest.
Anyway, Caleb, well done, mate. Thank you, mate. You're our winner for today. It's worth Mum and Dad coming over for to see that
absolutely,
in action there. Anthony, all the very best with the coach that you love so much over there, and hopefully you can turn things around. All right, that wraps it up for this edition of the Sunday Footy Show. We'll see you next Sunday. And go on.
Wherever you may be, may the sun shine on you today.